He did not send us to righteous men. He sent us to the world. He said, go ye in the world. Now among us there are people who are not yet perfect, and we are willing to be associated with them because we understand the journey. We are also coming from far. They too will change. That the world is factioned in kingdoms, whether you know it or not. The world has territories factioned by Satan himself. Satan's maps are not your maps. You get it? Look at Africa, for example. Some of you have probably read about history. It's called the Scramble and Partition of Africa. Right? When you had Portuguese and Americans and Belgians and French, and they come in our lands because we had wealth, gold, silver, topaz, palladium, and diamonds and everything. So they come and say, you know what? Let's scramble for this. Everybody wants a portion of that. Huh? This is history. It's common. So, one point in history, and some of you maybe have heard of this, in a church somewhere in Germany, amazingly, is where Africa was divided. It was in a church in Germany. Do your research. It was in a church in Germany where they sat and said, we're not going to be fighting for territories. Let's all agree what you will take and what I'll take. So the British says, you know what? I moved here, and I here. Stanley moved here and here. This is our territory. The Belgians say, but this small little place here is ours. And then the French say, yeah, we agree. I remember some Belgian settlers, the explorers moved here. But before you came here, we knew these tribes somewhere, and this was our territory, the French say. Yeah. Down south was the Portuguese and the Dutch. So then how do we name our titles? Our allodio. Let me use the word allodio titles. Okay, so what's the common ethnic group in your area, your territory? There's a predominant tribe there. It's a little civilized. They're called the Baganda. Okay, so Uganda. Oh well, mine. I'll call mine Uganda because it really reminds me or connects to the ethnicity that I take control over. Okay, so that's Uganda. The map is drawn. Follow me. Okay, Kenya. Okay, they draw that. Namibia, they draw that. Germany, they draw that. Right? And I'm told that the British protectorate, Australia is a British protectorate. Is that true? So, imagine the British coming and they say, okay, let me draw this boundary. This is Queensland. Here, this is mine. This is mine. I like it. Has good weather. Okay, it's yours, Your Majesty, right? The queen that takes over Mary, Bloody Mary, which Bloody Mary had taken over a young man called Edward who died early, was called Virginia, right? The Virgin Queen. So she goes, takes over a territory in the United States and calls it Virginia. It's still her territory. It's a state in America, but it's her territory. Do you understand that? Now, we have the kingdoms of Satan. We have the kingdoms of the colonialists, right? And then we have the kingdoms of the people, just the people. If you count my country, different tribes have different kingdoms. Are you following? I'm not sure it's this part of the world. Do you have kings in Australia? You don't. But I think you go in places like Sweden, there's a monarch, right? And a few nations in Europe. England is a monarch, right? So you have the kingdoms of men. You have the kingdoms by men, colonialists. Then you have the kingdoms of Satan. And the kingdoms by men are colonial masters. The kingdoms of men are ethnic groups, right? And then you have the kingdoms of Satan, which are ruled by principalities, the archangels, the ones that come first in rank. Now, when the third fall, right, among those are the guys who say, no, we paid the heavy price following you, so we need our territories. So he designs those territories and puts spirits in charge, archangels, right? There's first in rank spirits in charge of these territories, right? And every territory with its principality has its powers under. The Bible says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers, and spirits of wickedness in high places. These exist. Now, whether you recognize that or not, that's how the world is ranked. Paul says, our war is here. It's not in your countries, your boundaries. We're not there. Because Satan doesn't recognize those boundaries. All right? So you cannot say, I'm interceding for Australia. Who called it Australia? Was it by man or of man? Answer me. By man, thank you. Somebody called it Australia, right? I hope I'm not offending you. Because if I am, then I'm preaching. But you must understand this. Saints, we must understand this. God has no covenant with Uganda. He has no covenant with a kingdom by man. You get it? He has no covenant with a territory that is named or labeled by man. You see, the reason why some of us really cannot take over some territories is because we don't understand that God is territorial. This God you're serving is territorial. Satan is territorial. Are you following what I'm saying? He's territorial. He's not thinking that I want a property somewhere on the beach. No, he's thinking I need this territory. Are you following what I'm saying? Again, he takes Jesus up on a high mountain. I hope you're following. And shows him the kingdoms of the earth and their glory. And he said, these I'll give you, because he just needs to tell the principalities, stand down, everybody who is in charge. We have the guy. We have the world. The salvation of mankind has been compromised. That is why I have a problem, and I don't know that you should, or you do, but I pray you do from this conference. I have a problem with anybody that attacks a person who's winning souls. Because Satan was willing to give everything he had for that soul. So I have a problem when people are very quick to attack people who are winning souls. If you look at the church in Australia, you're not short of money. You're not short of, welfare. If you're sick, you have hospitals to treat you. If your children need an education, you don't need to have a job for your child to go to school. Your churches are not out of acoustics. The screens are not small. You get my point? You don't have a sound problem. We have a soul issue. Do you agree? We have a soul issue.